This is CBS News Chicago.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Dana Kozlov.
And I'm Ravinia Sinclair. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. And now at 9, Governor Pritzker and educators from across Illinois are gathering in Rosemont right now as the Trump administration works to dismantle the Department of Education. Again, we're live with what the governor and teachers have to say this morning.
And protests are ramping up nationwide as a Columbia University student remains detained after leading anti-war demonstrations. The case now raising concerns about First Amendment rights.
And it's calm right now, but we are in weather alert mode this morning, just getting you prepared and warning you ahead of a storm threat coming tomorrow night. But we've got much more to talk about, including our warm-up for tomorrow, Laura.
Yeah, 77 degrees. It's going to be a nice, warm, windy day. We do have a wind advisory out ahead of that, as some gusts are going to get as high as 55 degrees. Now, we are tapping it into an environment that will likely turn unsettled overnight into early Saturday morning. Between 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the morning is when we have this risk for damaging winds and also brief isolated tornadoes. That's not the case right now. In fact, another day of sunshine, beautiful skies. It's 43 degrees, calm winds. A lake breeze is going to be a factor here today, and that's going to keep the lakefront on the cooler side. But a range of temperatures by the end of the day. Upper 60s, 70 to Kankakee and Ottawa, 60 for a high O'Hare. How about this? A windy warm-up tomorrow as temperatures go up into the 80s. But that nighttime storm threat, damaging wind, tornadoes, will time up that line of thunderstorms and talk about the wind that follows for Saturday coming up.
All right, Laura, thank you so much. And this just into our newsroom. Illinois' Attorney General and 20 other attorneys general across the country are suing to stop the Trump administration's plan to dismantle the Department of Education. We're talking the employees and also the budget there. Now, the claims the executive branch cannot dismantle the agency without an act of Congress.
Right now in Rosemont, more than 1,000 educators from around the state are waiting to hear from the governor about those DOE cuts. Jackie Kostek is live in Rosemont, where that meeting is happening. And I know, Jackie, you've talked to several people this morning who are sharing those concerns.
Absolutely. Dana and Audrina, good morning to you from Rosemont, where this meeting just got underway at 9 o'clock this morning. Governor Pritzker is expected to take the stage around 9:45. And I've spoken to several educators out here who say that they are concerned and really fearful for how these cuts could potentially impact their schools and their students.
In our building, I don't hear red or blue or Republican and Democrat. In our building, it's students. We're focused on what's happening to our students. And for the most part, I think everyone is on board trying to do what's best for them. And we're all scared. We're all scared. We want to support our students. We want them to be successful.
That is Jill Scarcelli. She's a librarian in the Troy School District and the Education Support Professional Council Chair for the state. She fears the cuts will hit support staff in schools, which she says are already understaffed and underfunded. She says that would likely mean students who need additional supports in the classroom would not get them. Education Secretary Linda McMahon says the cuts reflect the department's commitment to efficiency and accountability. 50 employees from the Department of Education Chicago office have already been laid off. And again, that meeting is just getting underway right now in Rosemont. More than 1,200 educators from all across the state have met here this morning to discuss these cuts and the future of schools across the state. Jackie Kostek, CBS News, Chicago.
All right, Jackie, thank you.
Also today, the National Coalition of Church Leaders will be meeting in Chicago to discuss DEI initiatives. Now, these leaders represent over 20 million church parishioners. They're set to meet with corporate leaders at 11:30 this morning near Wacker and Field Boulevard. The church leaders say they want to hold companies accountable for abandoning their commitment to DEI.
And now to your nonstop news. Fire and smoke poured from a semi-truck and car on I-290 this morning. CBS Skywatch was over the scene just a few hours ago near St. Charles Road, and that's where the car ended up crushed under the semi. Illinois State Police have not yet said what may have caused the crash, but the expressway is now back open.
And a woman is now in critical condition after a car hit her and didn't stop. This happened just before 8 last night near Irving Park Road and Marmora Avenue. Police say the 56-year-old woman was in the crosswalk when a black SUV hit her. The driver kept going westbound on Irving. The woman was taken to the hospital in critical condition, and no one is in custody.
And in the Austin neighborhood, a 31-year-old man was shot and killed in this alley, and police say he was hit multiple times around 8:30 last night. At the scene, we saw dozens of evidence markers where this happened at Hubbard and Laverne. Police focusing mostly on the alley in their investigation, but also a sidewalk nearby. Officers now searching for the person who shot and killed that man there.
And today, crews will be out making repairs to a water main break in Cicero. Officials have opened one northbound lane for traffic, but they're encouraging drivers to avoid the intersection of 33rd and Cicero. Yesterday, the water main break closed down all northbound lanes. The southbound lanes remain open, but traffic could still be congested in that area. And breaking overnight in a maintenance hole has exploded at Texas Tech University, canceling classes and causing power outages.
And now students are being sent off campus to start their spring break a few days early. It happened last night around 7 at the engineering key section of campus. Students and people nearby on campus were evacuated, and then buildings across campus lost power. Officials say they've had to shut down all power to start their repairs.
As of right now, power will be shut down to the entire campus while repairs are started. Students, we are just wanting to inform you that you can go ahead and go home for spring break. We are closing school down for the next couple days. And we also are providing resources for students during this time if you do live on campus.
No one was hurt, thank goodness, in this explosion, but Texas Tech has more than 40,000 students. And also breaking right now, the White House has pulled its nomination for CDC Director Dr. David Weldon. As a former Florida congressman, was set to face a Senate Health Committee hearing this morning, but it was canceled. Now, a person familiar with the situation told the Associated Press that the White House pulled that nomination because Weldon did not have the votes for confirmation. Weldon was considered to be closely aligned with U.S. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And President Donald Trump is threatening to ramp up the escalating trade war.
It's his response to Canada and the European Union announcing countermeasures to U.S. tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is meeting with G7 leaders in Canada today, and Canadian officials are set to meet with U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick in Washington to try and cool the trade war down. Now, yesterday, Canada announced tariffs on nearly $30 billion worth of steel, computers, and sports equipment. The European Union now has tariffs on roughly $28 billion worth of American goods like bourbon, motorbikes, and blue jeans.
We will not back down, and we will not give in.
We're going to be doing reciprocal tariffs, so whatever they charge us, we're charging them.
Yesterday, the president was asked about the mass firings of federal workers. This included the Department of Education, which sent termination notices to more than 1,300 employees this week. President Trump conceded he does feel bad for some of those fired before reiterating his claim that some employees were not showing up for work. He's pledged to send education funding back to the states. And former Columbia University student activist Mahmoud Khalil remains in an immigration center in Louisiana.
And it comes as protesters continue to call for his release, saying the federal government is violating Khalil's First Amendment rights. Jared Hill has a closer look at the demonstrations going on nationwide.
Outside of a New York City courthouse, hundreds gathered ahead of a case raising serious concerns about the freedom of speech.
What happened to Mahmoud Khalil is nothing short of extraordinary and shocking and outrageous.
Lawyers for the federal government and Mahmoud Khalil went face-to-face for the first time Wednesday. Khalil, a 30-year-old Syrian of Palestinian descent, was a critical figure in last year's student-led anti-war protests at Columbia University. The Trump administration is calling Khalil a Hamas sympathizer, even accusing him of handing out Hamas propaganda.
I thought about bringing them into this briefing room to share with all of you, but I didn't think it was worth the dignity of this room.
And if you end up having a green card, not citizenship, but a green card as a result of that visa while you're here in those activities, we're going to kick you out. It's as simple as that. This is not about free speech.
But Khalil's lawyers argue it's political retaliation.
Mr. Khalil was never charged or convicted of any crimes. And so what did he do to deserve this? The answer is nothing.
The government is basing its attempt to deport Khalil on the Immigration and Nationality Act, which allows the Secretary of State themselves to deport someone they believe could harm U.S. foreign policy interests. The Anti-Defamation League supports the move, hoping it, quote, serves as a deterrent. The White House has threatened to arrest or detain more people linked to last year's campus protests against Israel's war on Hamas in Gaza. Jared Hill, CBS News, New York.
The Justice Department is working to have Khalil's case moved from New York City to either Louisiana or New Jersey, locations where Khalil has actually been held. Next, a series of at least a dozen smash and grabs across Chicago and the suburbs. Police now say the same burglary crew is behind all of them.
And a rare sight in the sky. We'll experience a total lunar eclipse in the wee hours of the morning tomorrow. We'll time it out for you, and a NASA scientist explains the phenomenon and why the moon actually turns red.
Yeah, the skies are actually going to be nice and clear to see that in the early part of Friday. We're on weather alert mode for the risk of severe weather by tomorrow night. Tracking that storm threat and your weekend forecast after the break.
2.5 years after construction began, the National Public Housing Museum will open on April 4th in Little Italy.
Yeah, the neighborhood is welcoming that museum there.
It's the only remaining building of the Jane Addams homes. You'll be able to watch the evolution of public housing apartments from 3 different time periods. It'll be free to visit, but you do need to buy tickets for the apartment stores. Keep that in mind. And a prayer vigil is happening tonight at Pope Francis Global Academy in Portage Park. It comes as doctors for Pope Francis say he's no longer in imminent danger, but is still expected to stay in the hospital for a few more days. The vigil begins tonight at 5 at St. Paschal Church on Melvina Avenue. A procession will go along Irving Park Road before ending at Pope Francis Global Academy.
Right now, police are busy investigating a series of smash and grab burglaries, and now we know about 3 more, all connected to those 12 smash and grabs that happened in the city and a suburb. So earlier this week, we showed you this surveillance video here from Foster Avenue in the North Mayfair neighborhood. So Tuesday morning, within just minutes, these burglars broke glass doors at 5 businesses and then left with their cash registers. Police now say that same morning, they actually broke into 2 other businesses on Peterson and 1 on Cicero. And the same crew targeted 7 businesses on Dempster and Morton Grove that same morning as well. Police investigating the smash and grab tells us the crew got away in a red Kia Sportage. And you know, it's just not every day that we see a glowing red moon.
But tonight we have an opportunity to see an out-of-this-world sight. This month's full moon is called the worm moon, and it is extra special because it'll be a total lunar eclipse. It's the first total lunar eclipse in 3 years that will be visible across the U.S. Tonight, the moon will change colors when the moon, sun, and earth align. Today, we spoke with NASA's senior scientist for lunar science and exploration about why eclipse turns the moon red.
Lunar eclipses and solar eclipses are 2 sides of the same phenomenon, where the sun, the earth, and the moon line up together and cast a shadow. Tonight, we're going to see a lunar eclipse, which is that the earth is blocking the sun from getting to the moon. That is, the moon is in the shadow of the earth. The light from the sun bends around the earth and focuses on the shadow on the moon. That's why we see it turn red. It's like 1,000 sunsets all projected onto the moon.
Wow. You don't need any special equipment to see a lunar eclipse, although binoculars or a telescope will, of course, enhance the view. Totality will be between 1:26 and 2:31 a.m. tomorrow morning, obviously, because that's what AM stands for. But just hammering that point home, Laura.
Yeah, that's right. Who do you think's gonna actually set the alarm and get up and like get the kids up to watch it? What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, we'll be up or getting up. I don't think I would have done it when my kids were little. I don't know. Really? I don't think so. Because especially young kids, because once they're sleeping, you want them to stay asleep.
I know. That's a hard one.
Yeah.
All right.
Guess we'll see. One thing that is cool, though, I just want to mention this.
Yes, please.
So visible across all of North and South America. So if you have any friends in the Eastern time zone, West too, just subtract the hour, and it's that same time slot there. So a large area is going to be able to see this. So it's like cool. All of us united as one.
So when we get up at, let's say, 2:30, right at the end of it, or 2:15, where would we look? Southwest?
Southwest.
Southwest. Okay.
Yeah, and it's still going to have like a little bit of that tint colorish, but like we're going to see that more orange reddish color for that 1 hour right there.
Okay, gotcha.
So yeah, you'll see a little something.
I hope so.
And you know what? We've got some great viewers that's going to show us some awesome pictures.
That's right.
We're counting on you guys. 9:17, everyone. I mean, I hope you get some sleep at some point. It is a early Saturday morning. What day? Friday. Wow.
We want it to be Friday so badly.
I was not just saying that a couple minutes when we were in the break. I can guarantee you that. All right. I'm really focused on what's coming this way for Friday and Saturday. We have a couple of weather alerts to talk about, and we are going to be looking for a risk of severe weather going into Friday night. Saturday, the weather alert continues because we've got a high wind risk that is going to follow. Severe weather threat. Here's the timestamps that you need to know for this. Between 9 p.m. and 3 o'clock in the morning. Storms, I expect those to get into the Chicago area right around midnight, a little after that. Damaging winds, isolated tornadoes. Some of those winds could get as high as 70 miles per hour, possibly even higher than that. We have a lot of wind out ahead of that line of thunderstorms too. 77 for the high tomorrow. So we are tapping into this warm air, but that is going to be the price that we pay with that line of thunderstorms. 70s and 80s for highs tomorrow. The wind threat will be creeping higher. I think Saturday is going to be an even windier day. We already have a wind advisory out from 4 p.m. until 1 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. Some wind gusts throughout the day tomorrow could get as high as 50 miles per hour. Severe storm threat, greatest to the far south and west. But as these storms progress in our area, we are still expected to work with an environment that will hold with those destructive winds and also that tornado threat. Tornado threat's very low, but we typically see this with this type of environment, these brief spin-up tornadoes that get going. Here's that thunderstorm on the approach. Timing here has even changed just a little bit. By midnight, we have this off toward the west, plows on through, clearing out of Chicago by 3 o'clock in the morning, and then we are storm-free for Saturday. But then come the intense winds. A high wind watch from 8 o'clock in the morning until 2 in the afternoon on Saturday. Behind that, we'll eventually get a cool down. Sunday's the day, a high of 42 degrees. Warming up for next week will be near 70 again for Tuesday.
Laura, thanks so much. Well, city council members voted no to a fur sales ban in Chicago. I know we told you that vote was coming yesterday morning. Alder people voted 26-19 against that proposed ban. The vote came after impassioned pleas from the Black Caucus, who said a ban would harm black entrepreneurs. Chicago is home to one of only 3 black-owned furriers in the country. And have you ever wondered how your body is aging or why some people seem more vibrant the older they get?
Well, those are just some of the questions a doctor at Northwestern is just trying to answer at this point. And in the name of science, our Charlie DeMar participated in this study.
At 100 years old, William Taylor hasn't lost a step.
I've had my fun.
Dr. Douglas Vaughn wants to know why people like Taylor are better at getting old.
We are in a place where the biology of aging has been demystified. If we can slow down aging just a little bit, we can push back the onset of disease, and we can give people a longer health span.
4.
The cardiologist is leading research into the difference between a person's chronological age, how many years they've lived, and their biological age, how old their body actually is.
Strawberry.
The foundation of his research came from a small Amish community in Indiana, where he found that about 10% of the population with a particular genetic variation live on average 10 years longer.
They can teach us a lot about what's required for healthy aging to take place.
That work has evolved into an international examination of aging Vaughn leads at Northwestern Medicine's Podesnack Longevity Institute.
As you get older, you want to know, like, am I going to stay sharp?
Kalinda Marshall is a study participant.
Being able to be a representative from minority community is really important because I want to know, how does this information measure up to people like me?
It'll take a picture of the back of your eye with a really bright flash.
They use a series of tests to calculate biological age, including a scan of your retina.
Keep your eyes open.
Analyze your movements.
All right, and you can stop.
I'm going to give you a swim cap.
All right.
Measure your body composition in a machine called a bod pod.
Just relax, breathe normally.
And an electrocardiogram for heart function. Then AI scours the mountain of data to come up with a number.
Perfect.
So your biological age is being read as 4 years younger than your chronological age. Sounds good.
Dr. Josh Chima is a cardiologist on the project.
So artificial intelligence gives us the opportunity to find patterns in the data that we can't find with our eyes, that we can't detect with a human brain.
The work here has special focus on people in marginalized communities and those living with long-term medical problems.
We are really interested in finding out ways to slow down aging in people that are disadvantaged.
A network of similar labs on 3 continents is in the works. In Japan, pills that mimic the genetic variation that helps Amish live longer has done the same thing for mice in trials.
So theoretically, we could bring this Amish advantage to everybody.
To the masses. Looks great.
Steps towards a longer and healthier life.
Well, the date and theme for this year's Chicago Pride Parade is out.
How organizers want the city to celebrate. And her first time hosting the Golden Globes was such a hit. The awards show wants her back. Nikki Glaser reacts to getting an invitation to do it again.
And from trampolines to play sets, we're at one-stop shop for all your family's playtime needs. That's ahead in today's Jumpstart. Well, new this morning, Nikki Glaser is already getting an invite back to the Golden Globes.
Glaser made history in January as the first ever woman to solo host and received huge praise for her performance. So much so, she'll host the show again next year. Glaser said it was the most fun she's ever had in her career. She can't wait to do it all again. The Golden Globes are always the first show to kick off the awards season. Next year's show will air again right here on CBS. You'll also be able to stream it on Paramount+.
Man, it's nice to be wanted and be invited back.
Yeah,
you know,
really.
You're like, okay, they liked me. I did a good job.
Yeah, good for her. Good for her.
Well, organizers of this year's Chicago Pride Parade have announced the dates and themes for this year's event. The theme is United in Pride, reflecting the powerful spirit of unity, resilience, and love that defines the LGBTQ+ community. Now, as usual, the parade will begin on Sheridan and Broadway, ending near Diversey and Cannon. And mark your calendars, it's stepping off at 11 a.m. on Sunday, June 29th.
And next, it's another popular summertime event. Ravinia reveals its lineup for the season, and the CEO joins us to talk about everything in store this year.
This is CBS News Chicago.
Good morning and great to be with you here at 9:30. I'm Audrina Sinclair.
And I'm Dana Kozlov. It is 9:30. Thanks so much for staying with us. This half hour, Ravinia reveals its 2025 lineup. We'll share the acts taking the stage, and the festival's CEO joins us live with a season preview.
Oh, some good ones on tap. Can't wait to talk about that. And no issues today in our weather department, but we do have a weather alert in place as severe storms are expected in our area late tomorrow.
Look at that beautiful blue sky out there today. Meteorologist Laura Bannett is here to talk all about it. Laura?
Yeah, honestly, today's the day. I mean, you won't have a whole lot of wind. It will be feeling really nice by the end of the day. Feels nice, too, right now, as we have temperatures in the low to mid 40s. It's 43 currently at O'Hare, Midway 44. We do have that lake breeze in place again today, so that will keep the lakefront cooler. But temperatures are expected to head through the 60s by the end of your afternoon. It's 49 now, Elgin, 42, Aurora, and 39 Valparaiso. Highest 60 today, 77 tomorrow. Some areas may hit that 80-degree mark for the first time this year, and then we go down to the 60s on Saturday. We do have a weather alert for Friday night. A round of severe thunderstorms on the way. I'll update you on the timing coming up here shortly.
All right, Laura, thank you. And now we turn to some breaking news overnight. Attorneys for the man convicted of murdering 2 girls in Indiana are appealing the conviction. Richard Allen was sentenced to 130 years in December, a month after a jury found him guilty of killing Abby Williams and Libby German. Now, the appeal comes after multiple legal objections already on Allen's conviction. In January, his attorneys questioned the timeline of the murder, and then last month, the team looked to keep evidence from an Indiana prison inmate who had confessed to the killings. Well, this morning will be your first chance to share how you feel about Chicago Public Schools and how it should balance its budget.
This before the school board votes on an amended budget next week that would allow the district to take out a massive loan.
Morris Perlman live in the newsroom with details on that. Actually, looks like you're outside CBS headquarters in the Loop.
Yeah, that's right. And that's because the meeting, this public hearing, the first of 2, set to start here in just about an hour from now. Now, it is still unclear at this point. In this extremely tight budget, basically where the money will come from to pay for some big ticket items when it comes to the school board. Now, at this point, CPS and Chicago City Hall, in Chicago Public Schools, still disagree over whether the school district should make a disputed pension payment in the first place. At the center of this hearing today is a $139 million proposed budget amended by Chicago Public Schools. But this proposed budget falls $175 million short of financing pensions for non-teaching staff. It may also not be enough to cover the cost of a new teacher contract, which is still in the works. Now, some city leaders want to pay back that $175 million as an advance pension payment by the end of this month. Without it, the city says they won't have a balanced budget. Now, this again is the first of two public hearings on the proposed amendment. One kicks off here at 10:30. The big vote on this, though, takes place next week. So we'll be following both of these hearings and that vote very closely. For now, we're live in the loop. I'm Marissa Perlman, CBS News Chicago.
Marissa, thank you so much. Well, meanwhile, more teachers are coming to Illinois classrooms, but education leaders are still concerned about teacher shortages. A new report by the Illinois State Board of Education found that there were more hirings since last school year, but the state says while they have seen an increase, there's still nearly 4,000 unfilled teaching positions in the state. Despite that, educators say there's a shortage. Almost half call it a very serious problem. Another 25% say it is a very serious problem. And some big names come into Ravinia this summer, the outdoor music venue in Highland Park, announcing the concert lineup. There are more than 100 concerts and 40 artists that will hit the stage this summer. Some of the artists include Grace Jones and Janelle Monáe on June 7th, Weird Al Yankovic on June 29th, Kygo on July 6th, Earth, Wind and Fire on August 7th, and Cynthia Erivo on August 15th.
And joining us now to dig more into this and what's in store for this year, Ravinia's President and CEO, Jeff Hayden. Jeff, good to have you here on the show.
Thanks so much for having me here this morning.
Okay, we're so pumped because number one, this means summer's getting closer. And number two, you guys always have such an amazing lineup. What are you most excited about, or what should fans be excited about coming up this season?
Well, as you said, when you look at the schedule, there should be something for everybody. We're really excited about such a wide lineup here. As you said, Grace Jones and Janelle Monáe are coming. John Legend, of course, is coming back. Chicago's coming back. We're really excited to have Lenny Kravitz and Beck, and debuts with Juanes, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, and Cynthia Erivo. You've seen her on Wicked. She came here 3 years ago as a up-and-coming star, and now she's a superstar.
Oh, my goodness. I know. Quick thing I want to note, though. I looked on your website. It looks like tickets aren't on sale yet for the June, July, August shows. When do those tickets come open?
So Ravinia is a nonprofit organization, and we work hard to raise money to fund our music education programs throughout Chicago Public Schools. So we ask that people become a member donor, and they get access to tickets as early as next week, and then they go on sale to the public on April 24th.
Okay, good point. Good note, by the way. All right, so anything new this year for visitors outside of course, the new lineup?
Well, we're really excited to be able to continue our partnership with Metra, where you get to show your concert ticket and get a free train ride to Ravinia. And you'll also notice that we're starting to do some renovation work on our pavilion. It's over 75 years old, and we'll have some new bathrooms for everybody this summer. And then in 2026, we'll have a brand new renovated pavilion for everybody. So a lot of activity going on at Ravinia.
Oh, yeah. When you guys announced those massive renovation plans for Ravinia, we were like, oh, nice. What are they going to have? What's going to be coming this year? What would you say is the biggest piece of that renovation? Is it the main pavilion?
It's the main pavilion, and we're so proud to have the Chicago Symphony Orchestra here in the summertime as their summer residence home. And we're going to have brand new acoustics, all new lighting, all new sound systems, new seats with drink holders. It should be a great experience for the artists and the audience.
Ooh, that looks fancy. We see in the renderings there of those videos of what it'll look like.
So what do you think will sell out this year, Jeff, first?
We've got a lot of sellouts, I think. Cynthia Erivo is a really hot ticket. King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard is a hot ticket. Earth, Wind and Fire, Lenny Kravitz, James Taylor. Chicago's always a favorite, and Train. So I think we're going to have a record number of sellouts this year.
I've seen a lot of shows there over the many, many years, and I got to tell you, one of my favorite or most fun shows was Chicago. They're just so much fun.
Oh, nice.
Even all these iterations of the band later, you know?
Nothing like listening to Chicago on a Saturday here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I remember remember being on the line listening to Anita Baker. It was amazing. Ooh. Jeff Hayden, thank you so much, Ravinia's president and CEO. We really appreciate you coming on and sharing all the exciting things happening at Ravinia this year.
Thanks so much. Look forward to seeing you this summer at Ravinia.
We will be there. Yep. Well, the 2025 season runs June 6th to August 31st. Again, you can catch more than 100 concerts throughout the season. I think you said April 24th you can start buying tickets, but they have memberships where you can get early access.
Yeah, so mark it on your calendars, folks.
Well, next, a place that's all about play. We're back at FenceWorks with a look at all your outdoor equipment needs and getting the kids all their energy out.
And how safe is your car? We're breaking down a new list of safety ratings for some common vehicles.
And a weather alert for you as the risk of severe weather is looking more likely heading into Friday night. The hour-by-hour timeline still ahead.
Right now, Governor Pritzker is speaking to more than 1,000 educators in
Rosemont.
A big topic
US
is
News
the
and
Trump
World Report now
administration's
ranks
cuts to the
Illinois
Department of
7th in
Ed.
the nation
Let's
for
listen in.
K-12 education. And we won't stop till we're #1. I don't want you to think that I'm suggesting that we don't have a whole lot more to do. We do. But let's take a moment to sing the praises of what we're accomplishing for our children in this state. And it's a testament to the hard work that all of you do. Everybody in this room and the 135,000 members you represent, whose commitment is to maximizing the potential for every student in the state of Illinois. Now, the Doge bags in Washington. I'm sorry, I may have misspelled that. They hate that we're succeeding in Illinois. They just hate it. It drives them absolutely crazy, and I love that it does. But they're hell-bent on destroying public schools, not just here, but across the nation. Most immediately, the destruction of the Department of Education will mean that students in rural communities who have relied upon federal funding to keep their schools open are likely to see school closures and will have to travel further and more minutes, more hours to get to the education that they deserve. Students with disabilities and special needs are getting defunded, and they're getting left behind. Working class students who depend on Pell Grants to earn their college degrees may be forced now to drop out, and many forced, well, to forget about the idea of going to college at all. Now, I'm not going to sit still for it, are you? No, fight back. That is right, fight back. If they hear from us, and if they hear us loud and clear from teachers and parents and students and their voters, we can beat them back. But we're going to have to fight for it. Are you ready for the fight? Yes. IEA, are you ready for the fight? Yes. Let's go get them, everybody. Let's go beat them.
Governor J.B. Pritzker is speaking to more than 1,000 educators in Rosemont right now. Very timely here at this gathering because it comes as the Department of Education gets major cuts to staffing and budget by the Trump administration.
Yeah, just yesterday laying off 1,300 Department of Ed workers. Pritzker also talked about the fact that Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul is in court right now with 20 other attorneys general from across the country. They are suing to try to block the Department of Ed cuts. And also the governor saying if the president really cared about education in the states, he would have hired an education professional rather, and not a former WWW promoter.
And it's 9:46 right now. We are turning to your first alert weather. All right, we have a beautiful day on tap. We got warm up tomorrow, but then other changes too to talk about.
Yeah, some big changes too. And that's the hard part about all this. And the weather's so nice. You want to get out and enjoy it. Yeah. But again, we are just alerting of the changes that do come with a 80-degree day.
Which is wild.
Tomorrow.
If we could just throw that out there.
I know. I wish it could just be 80 degrees, sunny, and that was that. That's not the case, though. We are in a favorable spot to really tap into some warm air, and that's the price that we'll pay with that risk of severe thunderstorms, which will increase going into tomorrow night. So right now, a thin line of thunderstorms will come on through late day tomorrow. Temperatures are expected to get into the high 70s, near 80 degrees. And even going into Saturday, we are still experiencing some intense winds with some gusts as high as 60 miles per hour. 60 degrees for the high today. Nice weather will cool us along the lakefront. That warming trend will go all the way through Friday. Saturday, 65 degrees. May be tough to enjoy as we do have high winds still in place. So our wind advisory, a couple of advisories and some watches to talk about. So the first one for tomorrow is a wind advisory. Some gusts as high as 50 miles per hour. The severe storm threat comes into play late night, mostly after 9-10 o'clock, going into the early part of Saturday morning. Once those storms depart, that's when that high wind threat comes into play. Storms, damaging wind, potentially in excess of 70 miles per hour is going to be the main threat. And then we are also looking at that threat for some brief isolated tornadoes. Here's that wind advisory from 4 p.m. tomorrow until Saturday, 1 a.m. I do think those highest winds will be felt throughout the evening hours. Severe storm threat, level 2 on a scale of 1 to 5. The farther you go to the south and west, that's where we see a greater risk for severe weather tomorrow in the late day. Moving ahead in time, looking at those storms to approach after 9 o'clock tomorrow, coming in from the west, clearing into Indiana in the early part of Saturday morning. No storms expected for the rest of the day on Saturday, but those winds will only get higher. Highest winds where we could see winds as high as 60 miles per hour between 8 o'clock in the morning until 2 in the afternoon on Saturday. So if you are going to be out and about for any of those festivities, any plans that you have outdoors here this weekend, brace yourself for some intense wind. 65 degrees down to the 40s on Sunday. Nice weather again next week. We'll be back near 70 on Tuesday.
Hey, Laura, thanks so much. Well, as Laura was just saying, the weather is starting to warm up, so you may be thinking about spending some more time outside.
So for today's Jumpstart, we're checking out a place full of backyard fun for kids, families, whoever likes to have fun. Joining us now, Jake Statter, Vice President of FenceWorks in Northbrook. And you sell playgrounds and other backyard equipment. You got trampolines. What are you showing us this time there at the showroom?
I got you guys. So I want to walk through building a custom play set. They are awesome. They're vinyl, so they're no maintenance. And the greatest part is you can start with something more modest and then build on as the kids get older, right? So we can hop in here and design your custom play set, guys. Let's do it.
That is a really big backyard, Jake.
Hop in here.
People's yards aren't usually that big.
You know what? No, right? But we'll take it, right? For this purpose, we'll go for it, right? So, I mean, again, you could start with your base, right? So there's a hexagon tower, a mountain climber. I really love the playhouses. Maybe we start with that, right? So we can start with a playhouse, and then from here, our balloons are our friend. So we can add slides, monkey bars, you name it. Guys, what do you think? Give me something you guys want to see on your play set.
Okay, well, I think you have to have a slide.
A slide?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. I'm going to do a slide off of here. There's tons of options. I'm going to go with a Tunnel Express slide. And the cool thing about these slides is you can add on a clear panel, right? So if you're a little nervous about being in the dark, no worries. We can add that.
That's cool.
How about some swings, guys? Maybe 3, 4? How about that?
Yeah, let's do
some swings.
Let's
we can do 3.
So
Maybe a monkey bar combo.
Oh, that's fun.
And we can, wow.
I have a question for you. So is this
Right?
something that you would sit down and
Please.
do with families if they're like, we want to custom design something? Would you sit down with them, or would they kind of give you their specs and what they want, and then you present a series of designs to them?
Great question. So a couple of different ways. I may start at the customer's home and measure and see what we're working with the landscape, right? Or I have customers that say, Jake, I want 2 slides, 3 swings, and then I build it for them, and then either come out or get some measurements to ensure that the product will fit. I want to build the set of your dreams, right? But if it doesn't fit and it's not safe, that's a no-go. So really want to make sure we're learning about the kids' needs, what their ages are, what they're interested in. We can always scale up as they get older.
Oh, good to know about the process, the behind the scenes. We can dream really big and then scale back when we look at our budget. Jake Statter, Vice President of FenceWorks in Northbrook. Thank you for taking us through your process all morning. We appreciate you for joining us on the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. Have a good day.
You too. Well, the new list of the nation's safest vehicles is out this morning.
As Chris Van Cleve reports, the number of models that made the cut dropped sharply this year.
The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety raised its bar by increasing its focus on the back seat and found room for improvement. IIHS President David Harkey.
What we've seen is a shift in the fatal risk of adult belted passengers to the rear seat.
That's because front seat safety has steadily gotten better. Now IIHS is pushing automakers to bring that technology to the back.
No increase in injury likelihood, no increase in things like submarining where they may slide under the seatbelt.
With the new tougher criteria, only 48 models qualified for top safety awards compared with 71 last year. SUVs dominated the top picks with 36 making the cut.
In the vehicles that did well, what do they have in the back seat that perhaps other vehicles don't?
What we're seeing is these are vehicles where they have added advanced seatbelt technologies, or they have redesigned their vehicles in terms of the seat pan or perhaps in terms of the latch positions.
But it's the vehicles that fell short that got researchers' attention.
Where we were really surprised and where we were really disappointed is the fact that we did not get award winners for minivans and smaller crew cab pickups. These are vehicles that are often purchased for family use, where you're intentionally going to have passengers in the rear seat.
IIHS expects automakers to start making backseat improvements within the next couple of years. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Phoenix.
And for a complete list of the top vehicle safety picks, just go to iihs.org. We'll be right back.
Beautiful day today, a high of 60 degrees, coolest along the lakefront. Tomorrow, a windy warm-up, a high of 77 degrees. There's going to be a couple of spots that hit 80 for the first time this year. I know, it's going to be great. Not so great is the wind and the storm threat. I know, I wish I could just stop there and say it's going to be 77 degrees, everyone. Goodbye. Not the case, though. We do have a risk of severe weather Friday, Saturday, high winds. There's going to be some gusts upwards of 60 miles per hour. So anything that's loose outside, front yard, backyard, tie them down.
So if I'm driving home from work tomorrow and I want to, lower my windows, am I going to get blown right out of my car?
You're going to be all right. It's really sturdy. You drive a really nice vehicle.
My Nissan Rogue?
Listen, as a fellow Nissan-er, I can tell you that thing is built for wind and anything.
It is a sturdy
vehicle.
Built to last.
Exactly. I mean, they don't make them like that anymore.
And don't forget the lunar eclipse tonight, everybody. That's exciting too.
Oh yeah,
lots of exciting weather stuff on tap.
We're full of it all today for you guys.
Full of it, so to speak.
Yeah.
All right, thanks so much for joining us, everyone, on the News at 9. Your local news continues right here on the stream.
Have a great day. If you like, join us tomorrow morning again. We'll see you then.